Renegade. Man, when afraid man in the wilderness, keep it real and honest on, you know, tabloid. Yeah, man. All right, so hear this out. We have a press briefing. We want to play with the Prime Minister. I'm going to play with the Prime Minister. Me, I come there, yeah? You want to play with the Prime Minister. I have to dissect that. We dissect that. We just get a call, you know. But before, me just start the show, yeah? Because I get the clean information, yeah? I get in the clean information. Yes? And maybe set a little thing straight. See? So maybe start the show and then we're going to play the press briefing with the Prime Minister. Prime Minister. We're holding it to account, yeah? Yes. All right. Let us start the show, you know. I'm straight one day, but them same come from Waterhouse. All right. Hold on. Don't move. Hold on. Let us start the show.
We in lump sum, we a beat it till they are my bane. We now make them get in and them and again. None of them boy, we none of them. We alone some rise up the bomber them.
Not a Judas, them a backstabber. I'm my wife, and this straight beauty and glamour. No guy can walk to name me with no dagger. Make the heart of Mandela, but the mind of a Zama in the mold. Like a bullman, we send us the glamour. Lyrically inclined, be a metaphor, so no listen to lyrics line to line. Become a lyrical fader. Put up in everything, they want some boy all in a head.
Again. But up. Yes, mama, up, man. All right. So we're going to go on to the press conference. I'm going to dissect something. But before I dissect something, my brother just call me. And me having on the phone, I'm not going to make hearing. He just give me a little rundown about a guy. When you say this happen? When you say this happen? Was Sunday? Okay. He just give me a little rundown. Say a guy found something named Waterhouse. That's some bullshit. You know, I'm not listening to people and them bullshit. And say, if him then near me, him box me upon my mouth. Let me tell you, suck catch it piece of fucking shit. Go try and look up who you are dealing with. Yeah? Because, you know, sometimes when you just sit down and just chat some look of fuckery. Because when around them kind of keyboard and them look of fuckery. Let me tell you something. If you see me any at all, you couldn't even approach me. Mama, sure. Yeah, man. I have to be careful. Me sit down and have to mash you up. But be careful there yourself. Don't play with me. Yeah? Do not play with me. You too fucking stink. Got stuck. Hey. Let me tell you something. Not play with me. No, yeah, me depend life. Mama, me depend life. See? Not play with me. Yeah? You understand? You too stink. Yeah? Not play with me. Yeah. Mama, I'm good. Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, man. We're there, yeah? Yeah, man. We're there. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm too fucking hot. Yeah? Yeah, man. Let me touch it back, yeah? It's a little white piece of shit. Them a say, I talk about box my mouth. So I just tell him, say, when you say box, a little piece of shit, them say from Waterhouse or something. You know, them just out of them. Let me just go to this. Because, you know, sometimes them man attack and talk, so I can fuck with like, you could have seen me and back me and talk violence against me. No, come here, match up me send and box him down, you know. Him to know me, Angie. Me know what hear them thing. Mama. No, me not in that with them, you know. Him too fucking stink. When you talk about back power, him could have backed me. Him stinking and because that say, man, if you're not to catch it, gun your mouth to catch some move your blood clot. You too stink to my mind yourself too, you know. You understand? Hey, mama. Them back, hey, mama, Angie, Man say, me do and go do me do because that boy had him too fucking stink.
Yeah, but you just need
Yeah?
to come off and do this and stop.
Auntie, me I ignore them in a mama, but him too stink. Me don't know the fuck up into this, but hey boy, let me tell you something. You must go in, you know. You never know who my around put him stinky in your fucking self. Mama, let me do it.
Watch people and then people when you watch
Yeah,
people and
mama, but it can't talk about but him no. But what the fuck do this little piece of fucking shit? If you go man, anybody see them man?
Anybody can say anything. You're not
Mama,
answer to everything.
Mama, me not watch them in but them figures
Yeah,
straight to man.
People are keep on
Mama, me the my life. No.
Yeah, but you need to stop.
Mama, yourself it stop me now notice them, but a boy are too stink. Him too stink too.
You just need to stop and then people will watch people and
Mama, him too stink, man. Mama, him too stink. All right, him too stink, man. Listen, go step in her face. Hey, yeah, man. Up. Yeah, man, up. All right, yes. All right. Yeah, man. Does something go on here? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Chris. Yeah, same. You know, sometimes some people take out things out of context and talk some things. Me that's serious, man, you know. One of man when I talk, man, and one things that some little boy when I talk to. I walk with two little crutches and all kind of little thing. Don't play with me. No play with me, no play with me. That's why I do not watch them, me not pay them no mind, because me know how me stay, you know. I'm there everywhere, you know. Nobody ramp with me. Nobody piece of money this one can ramp with. None can ramp with me. None. All right. So we ignore them. We ignore them here, sir. Yeah, but nobody ramp with me. Man, don't attack here, sir. Yeah, man. But I'm make no violent suggestion like when you can't come face me. And the way them with touch on it, man. Don't ramp with me, man. Yeah, man. Ramp with them, you know. Saying? Me not have no time. Me not listen to them. Me just do what me do, you know. Yeah, man. You see me I say? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Them out hard, man. Very out hard and stink, man. Yeah, man. See? All right. So, let me just go back to my thing now. Let me go back to my thing. See? I do not. All right. So, you know my style. Me no listen to garbage. No garbage. You know, we keep it real around here. No distraction around here. But no guy. On this planet, no guy. You see, you talk about violence, mind and be careful. Remember, the man of the wilderness, it's there everywhere. I mean, when you talk violence, we will move to you. You understand? Don't play with me. Do not play with me. You're no companion, and when you want to do your thing, just keep your things away. Don't bother going like you can't come diss me, or you can't diss me. You understand? Don't do that. All right. Now, we just go back to where we are showing you, so now. Go back over and show you, because saying them very out all, man. Yeah, man. All right. So I go look on the Fed conference, and I could just run through it. Watch out. All right. So I go run through the press conference and so. I go run through the press conference. People very out all. And then that one put some look upon, man. Run through this.
On the status of the investigations and actions being taken by the government in response to the crime that took place on Sunday, where we had 8 Jamaicans losing their lives senselessly in Cherry Lane in Four Paths, Clarendon. This morning, we have the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica. We have the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security. Dr. McCoy, our Attorney General, is also here. Vice Admiral Antoinette Weems-Gorman, our Chief of Defence Staff. Mr. Fitz Bailey, our Acting Commissioner of Police. Other guests, and lots of members of the media. I see a lot of media celebrities are here today. We welcome all members of the media, the old faithfuls, as we'd call them, who are always here for these briefings, and those who are especially here today. This morning, we are going to be going through these updates in our usual order. First, we'll have DCP Bailey, who is Acting Commissioner of Police. He'll give us an update on the status of the investigations, and he will be followed right after by our Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Chang, who will speak to states of emergencies and other measures being taken. And then we will have the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, will be speaking to us about generally where things are, where we're going, and some of the other initiatives that are being taken by the government of Jamaica. After that, there'll be time for questions from the media. I again note that we're requesting that each person, there are lots of you here today, that each person does one question related to this matter. Today we are speaking about what happened in Clarendon and the status of those investigations. So we're going to start with DCP Fitz Bailey, who is the Acting Commissioner of Police.
All right. So more to listen to this, Chris. More to listen to this now, because at the press conference this. Yes, at the press conference this. And you remember them that talk about terrorism. I will tell them so this go. Because we know them things are going on. And the terrorism this. Now them I tell you, and you hear them a call some place from a call before. I will give them some information where them are going like them never about something, don't it? Listen here. Listen this.
The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Honorable Dr. Armstrong, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Chief of Defense Staff, Attorney General, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The recent murder in Cherry Tree Lane, Clarendon, has left our nation in shock and grief. The brutal and indiscriminate killing of 8 innocent persons, including a child and 3 women, as well as the injuring of 9 others, including a baby, has troubled the minds of decent, law-abiding citizens here and abroad. This is not normal, and no self-respecting country will ever accept this as normal. Our response to this heinous crime has been swift and impactful. We have since seized an illegal firearm and have apprehended at least 5 persons. In fact, 1 person turned himself in yesterday. We continue to work tirelessly to uncover the truth and ensure that those responsible are held accountable under the rule of law. Our investigation has made significant progress, revealing connections to at least 6 previous violent incidents.
All right, so it's talking about people, them say terrorism, but 6 previous violence incidents. You hear this? Yeah. Yeah, man. See, you hear this? Continue.
In Clarendon. These incidents include a quadruple murder in Havana Heights in 2021, a murder committed on April 21st, 2024, and a subsequent shooting and arson that was committed on April 25 in West Park. The other incidents in...
You mentioned the West Park, or you mentioned them, no Havana Heights and all of them things. You know them things you must say. You see it? So you watch reprisal killing. Are you trying to tell the government? This is what we are talking about, you know, reprisal killing. You see it? Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. You hear this? Yes. But, you know, them take it and the Prime Minister run on top terror. And now you hear some different sequence of killing and all kind of things are going on. Continue listen then. And hear the foolishness whatever I say, so just listen here.
Include a murder that was committed on April 29 in the Cherry Tree Lane, a murder that was committed on May 11 along Fogar Road, Maypen, as well as a murder that was committed on May 15 in Yorktown. Unfortunately, our findings indicate that these local violent issues have international roots and incorporate local players, some of whom are incarcerated.
So that's the problem now, people. Because they might look for take our violence producer and put them in a prison. All right, look now, get back to my point. You want to take our violence producer and put them in a prison, but man can stay in a prison and influence what going outside. So save them in or outside. So the Prime Minister said, "I'm build a prison now for lock off some things and make sure you have some death spot that not happened yet from 2022." So this a fight in vain because the man you can lock up and in a prison and them still a call and them still have the revenge killing, all that go. You see it? Yes. All right. Continue.
These individuals who once were friends in Jamaica had a falling out in the United States over illegal obtained gains.
So them have illegal obtained gain. It couldn't happen in the ghetto when not there, not don't it? Up in the United States, they wonder where they gain them there. So remember here when them say them have fall out where I put it. Remember here where I put it. Yes.
Leading to each taking homicidal contracts to incite fear and terror.
But I'm not done that. So they're not done this about dirt and them play the bingo and them do the thing, man. Not down there. Fear again. Continue.
Criminal actors in prisons were contacted to facilitate these contracts through their criminal networks.
So you tell me say now, them and them up there, so them have them differences was friend. And them use the criminal them from inside to make them use the man from outside to kill them one another. Where they gain there? Because I couldn't land at some bush and some place where maybe enough I wouldn't even want to live. Them they are foreign. So I listen to him and say so. Yeah.
Resulting in the senseless bloodshed here in Jamaica. We are committed in removing those responsible from our streets and to restoring public confidence and trust in our ability to keep Jamaicans safe. In light of this accepted duty, it is important that we isolate those who are responsible wherever they are and to offer our public the level of safety assurance needed. We are mindful of the likely reprisal that will take place in several areas within and outside of Clarendon.
So him just talk to me now, the reprisal. This is what we are telling. Can reprisal, and it get worse and worse. We have to stop this, you know. This is what we want to stop, the reprisal, don't it? Can reprisal that too, you know. Foolishness.
I want to reassure the public that the security forces will use all resources available to mitigate any threat of reprisal and will be available to use other legislative tools that is available to us.
Legislative tools.
We appeal to good conscience and those locally and within our diaspora to partner with us in identifying those criminal actors and sharing whatever you know with the police. Together we can create a safer, more just society for all. Thank you.
I want to hear this now. Hear this now because but I hear the question them with them to answer. Yeah? Crap.
Honorable
Emergency now.
leaders of the security forces, members of the media present, and those online. Good morning. After careful consideration and review of the current situation and the result of events in Clarendon, His Excellency the Governor General has declared a state of public emergency for the parish of Clarendon. The Honorable Prime Minister has advised the Governor General to make such a declaration on the recommendation of the Chief of Defense Staff and the Commissioner of Police. Our informed assessment is that high levels of violent criminal activity experienced within the specified area is of such nature and such an extensive scale that it endangers public safety. This large single account of murders within the parish of Clarendon is attributed to ongoing violence within the division that had reached a tenuous magnitude, resulting in the eventual perpetration of murders as a means of intimidation and further as a form of reprisal as gangs seek to dominate existing turf. Again, to gain new turf and benefit from largesse. It is foreseen that this current rate of perpetuation will escalate on the consideration that additional numbers of gangs across the division will inevitably be impacted and hence minded to perpetrate similar acts of intimidation and reprisal. A state of emergency was declared on the 23rd of November 2023 in Clarendon and expired on the 6th of December 2023. During this period, the division experienced one shooting incident only. This amounts to a reduction of 100% in murder and 50% in shooting incident over the 14-day period.
Where am I telling you this for? What is?
When compared to an equivalent period of time.
When compared, you're there. He might play politics. I talk about what period and state of emergency and going to compare. What is?
Today, so during which 3 murders and 2 shooting incidents were recorded. This state of public emergency comes not only as a single act. The government will be attacking gangs in all sections of Jamaica.
You want the government attacking no gang, brother. We don't need that. We don't need government attacking gang. So why you declare for some people where you call gang and go kill innocent people and do all kind of foolishness? Who did that put that for, you know? Yeah? That makes sense. The government will be attacking gang. And they're testing, you know, where them come from are the most people there, you know it already, you know. Yeah? And when it suit them, then when you talk about the coke port or anything, the piece of shit them you know to talk about government attacking them. Attacking what? Eh? This makes sense?
4 curfews across the southern belt last night in division, the Clarendon division, and in the corporate area. There are multiple operations across the western belt and outside of Kingston in areas where it is known that gangs operate.
Yeah.
Several people were detained. The police will have those details. Events of this nature will be met with the full force of the law and the government.
I want to them guy. All they need for the work with the people, them and stop on the foolishness. Too much of this now, you know. Too much foolishness. Work with the people, them and stop on the foolishness. Yeah? Work with the people, them and stop on the foolishness. This is a crap.
Government will not be shy in taking all steps to provide the police with required powers to do so. An event of this sort will have to go back over a decade to identify such an event. But I recall with some graphic view as it happened in my own constituency, when on one afternoon there was 19 shootings, 11 deaths. The police retaliated with the traditional tools. By Monday morning, there was 27 deaths. I recall very graphically, and I see some of the officers here recall it with, recall the event. Events of this sort do not leave your mind for life. So we take steps to provide the police with the additional tools to prevent reprisals and counter reprisal.
Yeah, the additional tool. Police them for just have them things. So well on, and them have the tool. Or you get the additional tool and we not see none come from foreign. They think the police them have the thing them. What kind of additional tool? Or what am I telling you say? What am I telling you say? What can the police them have the car and have them thing with them have right now and them gun and them thing. Them not have it. We not see nothing now come from foreign and shipping. What additional tool them need? When I talk about garbage too. This is not a bag of shit. Additional tools.
And we will not deter or apologize for such activity.
Yeah.
This government is committed to protect the lives of
this government. People dead. And this nastiness I come and tell about this government protecting the life. People never wake up and get real, man. I real where I deal with them real, you know. Flat-footed thing where I deal with one yesterday, you know. Where my chat bullshit. This government are pushing and I play politics in a way matter. This government. You may say the government, you know. This government. Listen to them talk.
Jamaicans, all the citizens. We note that, in fact, at the present time, the reduction in major crimes and homicide have been significant.
Yeah, there. And the people that you want to deal with, you know, but in my plug, when I make no sense to it. Because all the matters is pure bullshit. Want to know that, right? Want to know? Come on, that bullshit. Yeah? All right, continue.
The 17% reduction in homicide, we'll have to go back 20 years to identify this kind of reduction too.
He must have go back 20 years. Listen me, man. Life to life, I shit him attack. So I'm going to talk about last year, and then I talk about 17% go back 20 years. This is bullshit. He put it up 1,000 in the last year, then put 1,490 yard. And then them revised and put a 1,500 and couple, 500 and must 11. And they want to compare them one murder rate to now, and I said go back 20 years, a 1,500 and add. So we matter about 1,400 and add, but him don't have maybe the same thing. What am I talking? Eh? No beat. We're done there, so we matter about 20 years, you know. Stop them use about percentage and statistics. Matter shit. These count our lives. Lives gone. See? So when it depends how much percent, 17% and go back 20 years. Bullshit. Politics are play. And it don't make no sense. Because if you have 1,511, a 1,511 soul is not just a number of people there. You know, people like mash up, you know, mother, father, you know, children, grandparents, them dead. Baby, are people lifestyle. And how much can already? You notice them not give the tally, them on got about percentage, garbage. And then can't beat them one figure. I have to them one figure and tell about go back 20 years. Politics and bullshit. Straight bullshit. Continue.
Please. We also have provided the police with this kind of tools, strong and effective means of intercepting. And
So if you provide them just yesterday and then come back today and say you provide them with this, then all it never use that this app. He might flap himself. Not even the hospital. Good, because you see what happened at the hospital. I just be a thing, them for stop the PR get real. Get real. No come here with no bag of bullshit. Or we are gonna talk as is. You remember my mouth at giant church, you know, me not take chat. And no boy can't give me chat neither. None. Can remember me come from bad place and answer. Never answer to no damn, no freak, no punk, no ever leader, never. And you are upset. Me and your brethren, you can't violate me. See? You answer. Keep it real. Play.
and apprehending violence producers, because today too, we are confident the police are much better position than they were a decade ago.
Yeah, again, a decade ago. Them in a better position, but a decade ago, 2014, how much dead? 2014. You want to look at the statistic? They never have nothing. Them say them in a better position. But a 2015, a 1,208. 2014, a what? 2014, a 1,005, right? Yeah. Yeah, a decade, a 2014, or 2024. A decade ago, I was 1,005. But the police in a better position, but a 1,005. And look what happened last year, and look what happened now. And look like this never happened. It make any sense? All them do is go on and play politics where it don't make no sense. Life lost. Life lost. Bullshit. Just that bullshit. Continue.
They're stronger, they're better equipped, and we have a team of highly professional police officers.
Highly professional, strong, and well equipped, but look where I go. And I know them can't be that, them can't carry down nothing like that. Remember, me have the word statistic right here. Eh? That don't make no sense, Carl. People are Jamaican and that's why when them talking, I want to just dissect the thing and just walk it and tell them stop that bullshit. You know, laugh and skin teeth with them, man. It don't make no sense, man. Don't make no sense. Stop telling people them foolishness. Play.
The sub-officers and commanding officers on the road today, I am confident, and I know, and they are not police officers in the police force because a job of last resort. They are bright young Jamaicans, experienced officers.
But this have to do with the people them were dead. Don't got church to the PR not working. This throw me off. Let me tell you something. I'm not telling you the truth. This certain thing, my brother saying I'm a will of this. But couldn't they ask them attack them foolishness? I tell them say I'm chat fuckery, you know. That's just me. I don't care. Now I tell them stop chat fuckery. And the man say, well, yeah, because that's what me stay. I'm in a business. This is bullshit. You might tell about bright this and that. At 17 people, 19 get injured now because one have gone and it must have broke a foot or something. And next one, I'm about 19, but around 17 get gunshot. Not here what I tell about. They're more equipped, they're more this, they're more that, but look where I'm going. Making any sense to you? And that be a state of emergency. See, I feel like on the whole parish now. Eh? Continue.
Well, in the police force because they want to be police officers. They are committed to maintaining peace and good order.
Yeah.
As a government, we will give them the tools.
We will give them. We think himself of them. We will, as a government, we will give them. Just listen to them, no man. Them not up, hey, them not up like you ever go catch fish that you have to use thing there. Wait me, we use catch fish there. And I use a fly kite. Yeah? And it's not up on you. And not up like trade, not up more than trade. Come at back way, sideways, front way, I both in him attacking. One bag of bullshit. Him tell them have the tool and them have everything and know him, we will give them the tool. Yeah? Not my word, no phone word. So they make big feet, all them do are just Yeah.
police officers. The sub-officers and commanding officers on the road today, I am confident, and I know, and they are not police officers in the police force because a job of last resort.
Yeah.
They are bright young Jamaicans, experienced officers who are in the police force because they want to be police officers. They are committed to maintaining peace and good order.
What is?
As a government, we will give them the tools required to be able to be effective against these horrendous criminals who are taking this kind of activity.
I am just criminal. You know, have to be a criminal for seek revenge, brother. Get smart. You understand? Something turn you over there, but you don't take check from people. Because what happens? So you just want anything come your way, you can blow them. I know. So you just keep out of some little things. You have some people, them are not criminal. All we must about criminal, you hurt them people, them gonna hurt you about. So we want a truth and reconciliation. Me tell them all the while, if them just listen to me, them good. Instead of come and do this kind of press conference and chat one bag of bullshit. Because they want to go in a people's head and we have said these are just PR when I work. Now work. See? Talk to people in a real time. Now in some little piece of shit where you feel say you can reach people, bring them in a good gun away. And in my flip flop. Yeah, man.
Today we have declared the state of emergency in Clarendon. We'll utilize the 14 days, and any discussion of any further activity depends on the situation at the end of the day. But we are confident the police will use these tools, supported by the Jamaica Defence Force, to effectively control the rise of criminal violence in Clarendon. Thank you. And we are now going to call on our Chief of Defence Staff to further explain the actions of the mobilization of the security forces. Thank you.
PM, Honorable Prime Minister, other members of the security forces, members of the press, Jamaicans, good morning. As indicated, there will be a state of public emergency for the JDF has already postured and is deployed to support this state of public emergency in this space. Our commitment to ensuring that this cowardly act in Clarendon and other criminal activities will be dealt with, and the military capabilities of the Jamaica Defence Force remain available and will
military capabilities in our country. We have about police. That police force now, you know all that go. Yes, military capabilities. I fight your own people. If you just said something for the young man and them thing, then them can't be brainwashed, man. Them stand up for it, man. Stop on the foolishness, man. Now we have money wrong way, man. Go to the country and stop on the foolishness. What are this? Yeah. Nothing could have been abided. They think them don't know? Them know.
be used in full force to support the JCF to bring back order, not only in Clarendon, but to ensure that Jamaicans can feel safe as they do their normal business. We also ask that persons with information call our tip line. The JDF tip line is 876-827-8888. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Please forgive my dressing down. Today is a field day for me. However, the brutal killing of 8 innocent Jamaicans, which has prompted the government to mobilize all its resources to respond, is something that I make a priority. And all our security forces, the JCF, JDF, MOCA, our intelligence services, all our security forces have been mobilized in this regard. The Deputy Prime Minister has just given an update on the declaration of a state of public emergency for the parish of Clarendon. This is as a result of our analysis of the intelligence available and the very high probability, indeed, I would go as far as to say, even though it was not said by Acting Commissioner Bailey, attempts at retaliation and reprisals. As Minister Chang pointed out, that when incidents like these have occurred in the past, when you take the accumulated murders that are connected to the initial event, you end up in 10s and 20s and 30s. So we are very careful in ensuring that this incident does not spark a string of additional murders, and therefore the implementation of the SOE in Clarendon. The SOE is not designed to be an inconvenience to the citizens, and the security forces will be using this additional power in a very targeted and strategic way. I want to assure the public that our security forces, in as much as we are focused on getting the criminals and those who are responsible, we are also focused on protecting the human rights of our citizens. The rights of the victims, clearly, in my opinion, should take priority, but we also have a duty as a civilized country to show the criminals that we act within the law. So I want that point to be absolutely clear, and you would have seen this in the conduct of the police force in their operations so far. They have been very professional, very strategic, very targeted, and it is not just talk. Talk is important. We must bring the public along. We must share information. The public must be aware of what is happening, but we must also report progress. We must report actions, and we must report challenges, and that is what we have been doing as we try to come to grips with what has happened in our nation. In the last press conference, somebody said, would you describe this as a mass shooting? I would say, if you were to use the language in a semantic way, yes, it is a mass shooting, but mass shootings have a particular connotation. I think a more accurate description that this is armed, organized violence perpetrated by criminal enterprises. So this is a gang-related event, which is over and above what the average would have been. And so we're going to treat it in that way and focus on.
So just come back to what me had to know, because you not talk about terrorism, a mass shooting about terrorism. Is that reprisal? So I'm come down back on earth now. Yes.
Gangs. We have had the traditional notion that gangs are a social response to poverty, disenfranchisement, unemployment. I would suggest to those persons who hold this view that that is an outdated notion. The gangs that we are dealing with are highly resourced. They are not poor. They are not struggling for money. They operate as an enterprise. They have structure, they have leadership, and they have systems and rules. And I want you to also bear in mind that they operate on intelligence. They study our police force. They use information operations. They use our banking system. They use our telecommunication system. They use social media. They are well structured and well organized.
And the big boy, them, boy from PSOJ.
And what they do is that they entrench themselves in communities and take advantage of poor, dispossessed youth. They give them guns. They use them as lookouts. They use them to commit crimes. They use the term, they lock the area.
So if you have the amount of money and you live big and things, you like a little poor area for do with it. But it's a political vote and all kind of things cannot know there. Some places they have no farming there, nothing at all. Cattle in there. There's some little dry ducks. Yes. Dirt. Some little structure. But them lack the ear. Why them lack the ear? Because the same politician them are supply when them are supply to get the vote. To keep in power. Yes. Because if not the way they do this and look out and then do what? To some people who are suffer. But you have money. Yeah? I must appease the politicians. So you want to use the people them to get vote, not you. Yes.
So they take over our young people, our unsuspecting women, and they use them as foot soldiers, as pawns in the game. And that is what we're dealing with. The entrenchment of this kind of organized armed violence is a threat not just to the communities in which they exist, it is a threat to the very stability of the state. When I went to the community of Cherry Tree on Monday, it was heartbreaking. It could be any community. In my own constituency, people play bingo all the time. The bingo table is a place of, social gathering. And this was not a drive-by. These men were deliberate. They stopped their vehicles. They came out and they pursued victims. And they didn't do it in just one location. They left the location where the bingo was at and went to another location and did the same thing. So I want the nation to understand that this is a different level of criminality. You can only describe this as an act of terror.
It's not
It
terror.
wasn't carried out by someone who is mentally ill or someone with a social vendetta.
Yeah.
This was carried out in the pursuit of a criminal vendetta.
Criminal
It is
vendetta.
the use of violence.
That is not terror. You still use the word terror, it's not terror. You're sick if you use the word terror.
In support of the entrenchment of the power of the gang. It is an act of terror. And
It's
it has
not
to be
terror.
treated.
And when I talk like people, like I did, so I same place the gang come from. No. I'm the same son of entrenched with the gang. Listen, if you have reprisal, all the man talk about entrenching a gang, but they know it's a reprisal, the man them come from over the other side. It's the mislead people a lot. In dangerous, very dangerous.
In that way, and the public needs to understand the evolving nature of the criminality that we face. And what the government has been doing is building the capacity of our security forces to be able to address this level of criminality. Very instructive for me in visiting the community and speaking with the mother of one of the victims, who was very effusive in her praise for the police force in the area, that they had ongoing patrols. The area was under active police operations.
So speak to the one mom and say, she say a patrol and then put it in a film way and everybody didn't speak to you. And a 5 or 10 people didn't speak to her mom and she say, she see the patrol, so it's ongoing patrol.
But it is clear that these criminals would have studied the rhythm of the police and took an opportunity.
Instead of speak to one mom and then they make one big story out of it.
Is the level of criminality that we are dealing with. So I know that there are certain narratives that are usually carried, but I would urge persons to be very careful about how they seek to characterize what is happening here. The JCF, the JDF, MOCA, and all our security apparatus is responding not in the traditional way. We have new modalities and new ways of responding to this. So there may be persons who would be expecting to see mass mobilizations and, mass arrests and all kinds of, no, that's not how the JCF, the JDF, and our security forces operate. We are operating in an information-rich and intelligence-driven strategic environment. That is what we are doing, which is why hours after the incident, Acting Commissioner Bailey can report progress. He can report that 5 persons have been arrested with connections to the incident, with a firearm connected. 1 person has turned himself in. So the impact is there. Now, as it relates to the wider strategy, I want to spend a few minutes on that. The potential for reprisal leads us also to look at other gangs who may be involved. So once we have zeroed in on the gangs that are responsible, we know that the connections and cooperation exists where the gangs that we have zeroed in on may very well subcontract. I hate to use that term, but that's the best way to convey it.
Because of that, them don't claim at all subcontract. Them just calling them friend from when me telling us them calling me. Can me telling the family yesterday, don't. You know, subcontract.
They may very well go into collaboration with other gangs to carry out their reprisals. And therefore, our strategic response is not going to be limited only to the gangs we know to be involved, but to a wider area. And therefore, my comments regarding ensuring that there is a wide net around gangs, an attack and assault on gangs and gang culture is very appropriate as a result of this incident. So this is an opportunity for the government to mobilize fully to have a very serious focus on gangs. And I want to point out that the government has had a long-standing strategy for the last 5 years in tackling gangs. About 5 years ago, we estimated that there were about 400 gangs that were active within our Jamaican space. My last report from the Minister of National Security on Monday was that we are now down to 185 active gangs. But by any measure, having 185 active gangs in our space is still very high. The intention is to bring the gangs down to zero. And it is important, therefore, that the public understands that these gangs that are in your communities, they are not your protectors. They are not your friends. So, one.
Well, it's a talk in a real terms, because most of the time it's a gang and them are reprised, and the same people, them son, them brother, them niece, them nephew, the whole of them, and you call them gang. But them say next good thing, just deal with the social intervention thing, no, man, and clear the place, man. A better thing that, man. And stop make them attract to some other people. That's if you know, the simple thing, you know, man. When you know, say that, not about they're not your friends, when you look at people, son. Yeah, woman involved to people that. Them a brother, them a husband, them a baby father, them a everything to. Woman involved. Yes. Yeah, man.
One of the strategies to erode the gangs is to create an environment where citizens can provide information. It is the information that is going to destroy the network of the gangs and remove the space for gangs to operate in the community. So another action that the government will take in support of promoting an information-rich environment is that we have now established a fund of 25 million Jamaican dollars. The fund is in the Ministry of National Security, and it is focused primarily on this incident. We will provide 6 million Jamaican dollars for information, credible information and intelligence leading to the arrest and charge of any suspect involved in the killing, particularly those who were involved in pulling the trigger. And that is up to a maximum amount of $1 million per person.
Could I get a more?
Secondly, we will provide $5 million for information aiding in the investigation, arrest, and charge of facilitators of this criminal act, up to a maximum of $1.5 million per person. We're particularly interested in the facilitators and the organizers. The facilitators, those who provided the weapons or gave access to the weapons and ammunition, access to the motor vehicle, organized, made the telephone calls, made the connections. We are particularly interested in those persons. We will give a reward for the provision of information and intelligence leading to the recovery of the firearms that were involved in this killing. We're particularly interested in that and any information on the networks involved in the supply of those firearms. And we will provide $5 million for the supply of information and intelligence resulting in the securing of evidence, any form of evidence, against the gangs that were involved in this operation. Lastly, we will provide a fund of $5 million leading to the arrest and charge for anyone harboring the criminal gangs or their associates. A maximum of $800,000 per person identified. So this is a $25 million fund that is aimed at increasing the pace at which information is flowing in for the investigation.
I can tell you something now. I'm telling you something. Because you have people from one side and people from the other side want the money. You gotta get some part information. And I'm gonna give some name and collect money on the mind of yourself, you know. Because it have flow from two sides. Because them don't know this, you know. Yeah, man, them just call up all the next youth name and call up some people and push out some people and collect money. Read people, them good. Because them push out some people. Because them don't know this thing, eh? All right,
this fund will be under the administration of the Ministry of National Security, and the traditional methods of providing information can be used. But any method that you use to get the information in, once it is forwarded to the Ministry of National Security and the relevant details are available, the payments will be made securely. I wish to remind you of the methods of contact to provide information to the security forces securely. Crime Stop, 311. Police Emergency, 119. The NIB, National Investigation Bureau tip line, 811. MOCA tip line, 888 MOCA tip. That is 888-662-2847. And the JDF tip line, 837-888. Repeat them again. Crime Stop, 311. Police Emergency, 119. The NIB tip line, 811. MOCA, 662-2847. And the JDF tip line, 837-888. So, this administration is taking this act of terror very seriously. It is the second time that I've had to use this term to describe an act of this nature. I would remind the nation of the brutal killing which took place in St. James, where a criminal used a high-powered weapon, opened fire on a public passenger transport vehicle, which killed 3 persons, including 2 school children. We used a similar strategy of mobilizing the community, deployment of a state of public emergency, focused and targeted information, and within weeks, we were able to bring those responsible to justice. I'm expecting that we will have similar, if not better results, in fact, more impactful results as we respond to this. And as I close my presentation, I will say that we cannot allow murders to become normalized in our country. And therefore, there must be a very strong response to these kinds of incidents. Thank you.
Are you a professional?
I could move this. I could move this. Because I want you to question them now. I have to listen to question them. I could just get them question out. Yeah, man. Get the question them out. All right. Yeah, we could get them question out right now. Yeah. Yeah. It's really normalized long time, man. We must say, you know, so much people are there here, man.
The team for your presentations. We're now going to open up to the media. As we said earlier, there are many of you who are here. I know many of you have questions. We will ask you to keep it to one question. And the PM does have to go out of town, as you said, in terms of the way he's dressed. And I invite you all to be up here. CDS, you too, as we take the first question. Naomi?
Good morning, Kimon Francis from the Gleaner. Prime Minister, what message of fear can the state reasonably send to criminals when those behind bars can orchestrate murders still? And are considerations on the table for a new maximum security facility?
Thank you for that question, Kimon. The government is not in the business of spreading fear. What the government is in the business of is ensuring that our security apparatus is robust and that those persons who would consider crime would have to consider the quick and swift and effective response of the security apparatus. And that can only come by being calculating, by being strategic, and by being studied in our approach. In other words, the government has to create a security environment that changes the risk reward for criminal action. Fear, I'm sure, can do it, but fear, the creation of fear, also creates fear in citizens. And so we want to be very cautious. This is not about creating fear in our citizens. We want our citizens to have confidence in the security forces, and we want the criminals to have to think twice before they act. Risk reward must change. And that's what we've been doing in all that we have done. In fact, what we have done here today changes the risk reward nature of any crime that may be considered following from this initial action. Are we considering legislative measures, and are we considering the construction of a new prison? The legislative measures are already underway. We have made amendments to the Corrections Act to increase penalties for contraband. I will allow the minister to explain where we are with the new Corrections Act, but there is a new Corrections Act being drafted. As it relates to the construction of a new prison facility, yes, we have actually had many discussions. We actually have draft plans. The issue, of course, is the budgetary constraints. There are
Mark that to me, yeah? Mark that. Hold on. Remember mark that use prison it. Because we got the budgetary constraint, right? Let me listen about something I saw before we continue with this. Let me listen about something I saw. Hold on. I'm soon care about that budgetary constraint. All right, let me listen to something about prison I saw. Because it's 2022. Let me see something. All right, because it's a budgetary draw plans now. That's 2024 now. August, right? But this is 2022. Let me hear when they say us about the prison. Hold on.
is the plans and the cost. I have given instructions that the high security facility with a communications dead spot be built. We will have a prison with a communication dead spot that we can put our high valued criminals in terms, they're not high value, they're no value, but our high risk criminals, we can put them in facilities where they cannot influence crime and murders.
Last week, the Prime Minister declared.
All right, so, guys, so, this is 2022, see there? And November 2022, this. He said we are building a new prison with the death spot so them can't call out and do no murder. Him go through with this, he said we are building. Him give instruction. Yeah. See? Him give instruction. Remember that play it again and then I play him back when him just said a while. He matter about budgetary constraint now. I don't understand this. Get it?
I have given instructions that the high security facility with a communications dead spot be built. We will have a prison with a communication dead spot that we can put our high valued criminals in terms, they're not high value, they're no value, but our high risk criminals, we can put them in facilities where they cannot influence crime and murders.
Last.
So him tell me this. So if him did got you with this in 2022, the people them when say they are prison, well gather the people them, that mean them not supposed to influence somebody, that mean we wouldn't have them killing everyone. So he fear the state. He fear the world place, he fear the state again. Yeah. See, he fear the state. Okay. Yeah, man. Same fear the state, that's all. All right. So I could bring him in back here, so now here we must say right, so. You hear what I'm just saying? That's 2022, me show you, but here we must say yes or no. I'm finished listening. Go back up, look more. Prison, why you about prison?
Contraband. I will allow the minister to explain where we are with the new Corrections Act, but there is a new Corrections Act being drafted. As it relates to the construction of a new prison facility, yes, we have actually had many discussions. We actually have draft plans. The issue, of course, is the budgetary constraints. There are many demands on the budget. Building a new prison would certainly draw quite a bit of political attention as to whether or not that is wise use of funds when we need new hospitals, new schools, roads, and all the other issues. So we have to be very careful as a government how we make these kinds of fiscal allocations. But
so right away we bring it back to a political thing to draw political attention. Inside my minute, 2022. Maybe go use a little party, you know. That's why I like them thing, you know. Me. I like them thing, man, because I mean, him say I'm gonna build the prison and the death spot and everything. I know you hear something, it's gonna draw some political thing and the money, you know, monetary constraint. And that thing said 2022, you have to play back these things for the Prime Minister, you know. You have to hold him accountable, man. See? We just play it, you know. Of course, play it back. Regular, man.
I'm thinking now, obviously, and in the consciousness of the public, that clearly there needs to be more modern prison facilities where we can effectively.
He might think consciously, you know, clearly, but he may tell me, same I do it. Hear this?
Cut off the communication and the contact of prisoners. So the contemplation that we have and that we have started to develop plans, I believe, CDS, you might want to say a few words on the plans that we have, is really focused on how we can build a high security facility where these kinds of criminal masterminds can be effectively separated from the society.
All right. So let me play about this again. So here we understand now. You just know, the plan and focus, them can build it, but another minute that so.
The Prime Minister declared several states
Analyze the plan.
Look on the date, and you see, not my word. In same give directive, listen again. You hear what I said here? Listen.
Analyze the plans and the cost. I have given instructions that the high security facility with a communications dead spot be built. We will have
built. And give this instruction. Let me play him again. Him change him out again. Yeah.
Analyze the plans and the cost. I have given instructions that the high security facility with a communications dead spot be built. We will have a prison with a communication dead spot that we can put our high valued criminals in terms, they're not high value, they're no value. But our high risk criminals, we can put them in facilities where they cannot influence crime and murders.
last week.
Okay. So they get two different things yes or no. That are 2 years ago, You hear this? But now him come tell the same thing about it and attack one bag of thing. But him say him give the instruction. Yeah, continue.
Question? Good morning, Kelly Shaw Williams, Television Jamaica. After Monday's press conference, there was a video circulating on social media with an masked individual, issuing threats towards the Prime Minister.
The US reached out regarding this issue of Charlene. Additionally, has the US reached out on the now upgraded number of the illicit 8 versus the illicit 6? What has the US said in each case? And also, if you could just give a feedback as to whether they've reached out, excuse me.
Yesterday, I had discussions with the US ambassador. He passed on his condolences to the family and assured us of the support of the US government in whatever way they could meaningfully assist. I don't like to speak too much on the collaborations because that could have an impact on ongoing investigations and operations. But suffice to say that the United States has been and continues to be one of our most important partners in the fight against crime and the illegal trafficking of weapons and contraband into the region. We have a very robust cooperation with them.
Question, sir, and then we'll wrap. Alicia?
Well, I really wanted to hear from Dr. Chang regarding the new Corrections Act, but further on Monday, you said that there were some gangs who were collaborating.
Him not answer the yet to the people. Him not answer the yet. You hear what I'm saying? Huh.
In the matter, so I wanted to know if you're any closer to saying which those are.
Thank you. First, the new correction is in the drafting stage. We have, in fact, put on the table, of course, the new corrections policy, which provides the framework for the development of new legislation. It's something that we expect to, it will not conclude in this parliament year, but in the next parliament year, we should be able to bring the new corrections out. Important in ensuring we have the required legislative framework to manage effectively the individuals incarcerated and jailed. But just to add that it is not that it's not without control. We, in fact, monitor the activities of these prisoners, not only by investigating and removing contraband from the prison, but the police monitors carefully. That's why some intelligence, without going into details, are able to identify beforehand, intercept, and sometimes save the lives of some of the very criminals who are involved.
So you did identify, intercept. Now, people, the prisoner, them static. Them static. Now move. Can't move. Behind bars. And you don't ask yourself, them not answer the question. You don't ask yourself, how is it that them get all this contraband in the prison? For your turn, some of them warden, they know in a prison at all. I know you not touch them. And that is why them kill off the man, because the man did come out, come talk. We have things I come out, come talk. I'm matter of fact, me have things right now. The prisoner send me, we're going in there. Remember my boss stuff for the case, you know? Me have to do one of the case. Me have videos and things where I do back one of them cases. You understand? Because they have the water, them build shop, them build all kind of things out, them are criminal themselves. Them are carrying the thing. The youth them can reach out and get money. So if murder committee for charge the one of them too. And if the Prime Minister say, hey, then I'm betting on criminal and thing, you behind barriers, behind grill. But you can get phone and get everything. Them people they want to think them to get charged. If you charge them for the murder as well, because of them are cause the murder and me am there. So instead of a prisoner, you look on the same water them way you use, you allow them to continue to do this and the whole of the breach. And then you go look for prisoner, talk about your charge prisoner. That doesn't make sense to me. When I'm going to tell you someone full of garbage, man. Them are garbage. See? If you charge the water them, you charge them. The prisoner them static. And if them static, how them get for move? That's the problem. You understand how them get these things? Don't make no sense. Continue.
So work is done to manage the situation quite effectively, but they always slip occasionally.
This is the world.
All right, we can move that. We can move this. Is that them not no sense too? Them not no sense. Them don't have any sense. If you start charging one of them, the whole of them thing for morning. All in a police station, in a police lock up, you know. Same thing going, you know. And then you go look for a prisoner, you got charge prisoner, you know, charge the police them are carrying the thing. That makes no sense to me. What of this a garbage? Yeah, garbage. Let me just play this. Can I say this I go down. I'm gonna play this. Fast. Hold on there. Say this one charge. Almost one charge, you know.
The shooting incident in Clarendon, the opposition leader Mark Golding stated that, quote, there have been several instances of multiple killings in Clarendon in recent years, with this one being the most egregious. I stand ready to cooperate with the government to achieve bipartisan action to come to grips with this utterly untenable situation. My question is, what is your response to this indication from the opposition leader that the opposition is willing to cooperate with the government in this fight against crime?
My initial reaction was that I always thought that they have said they were willing to cooperate, but I'm happy to know that there is a reinforcement of that position. The challenge is actions rather than statements. The cooperation that is needed is on the legislative agenda. Listen, I don't take the view that there is anyone in Jamaica who wants to see crime get out of hand. I come to the table with the perspective that everyone is a patriot looking to ensure the best for Jamaica. So I understand the positions of persons who may oppose the positions that I hold. The curious thing is that when roles are changed, then those persons who oppose the position I hold now adopt the position. So it says that sometimes the positions that are held are more strategic than genuine.
You hear him say that, people? You hear him just saying just stop the correct for Mark. Mark said him stand, right? I'm just strategic and genuine. You know why? Let me show you why. Look on this. I'm taking him attack, you know. That's why I'm saying that. Look on this. One person a day.
Leader used his tour to launch an assault on the government's fight against crime. Mr. Holness and opposition MP Desmond McKenzie were in the community
I never ate, that's one. And look what him do, only himself.
today. Onje Jebinson reports.
The man in charge of the security portfolio, Peter Bunting, had a tour on Sunday, and Mr. Bunting, who receives the crime figures daily, insists there is no increase in major crimes. But opposition leader Andrew Holness has his own view on Friday night's shooting in Seaview Gardens.
It is an example of the growing level of criminal activity within Jamaica. Crime is once again rearing its ugly head, and it is really a cause for great concern.
Mr. Holness said the mothers feel let down by the government.
The government has
the mothers feel let down by the government. If they have to credit about hearing.
a role to play in this. The government has a duty to secure and provide security for the people of this country. And I think in talking to that mother, it was clear to me that she felt that the government had abdicated its role in providing security.
Mr. Holness said the opposition will be holding the government accountable for its role in controlling crime.
We had managed to bring down the murder rate 3 or 4 years ago. Now it is climbing. We are concerned. We are very worried. And our visit here today is to give the people of Seaview Gardens, but Jamaica in general, the assurance that the opposition is speaking out firmly against crime.
Not only that, Mr. Holness wants the entire country to send a message.
All well-thinking Jamaicans should raise their voice in concert against the high levels of crime and against the government in not doing enough in controlling crime.
No, this is the same man now, you don't scare this morning. I drop red ball role with play and them want to take a role. He want to abuse people rights with the SOE and they never allow him for that. And then him come and drop word. This year never have the SOE and one person died. And him go at Seaview. And at this is where him say, all well thinking Jamaica for raise them and him beat the government on it. But no matter about reverse and in a position and all kind of things. You say him hypocritical. You ever play back this panel man? So when you hear him talk, you know, say he just a bowl of bulls. Hold him to him one word. You understand? Hold him to him one word. Yeah.
And I think what Jamaica needs now is genuine partnership, not strategic partnerships for political.
Yeah, the political. You won't say
advantage, but genuine partnership. I keep making the case that in 2017, when murders were rising, the opposition genuinely supported the government in the use of SOEs. In other words, the government could not extend the SOEs beyond 14 days without the opposition voting for it. Policies changed. The opposition changed their position and did not support the SOE. So it took away that tool.
People, the SOE, when I talk a crap, what I never need is one person. And I say, Jamaican for raise them voice. And I'm going to beat them on it at the government. No matter about the government and support. It's too hypocritical, man. Remember, I said the PMP in power, you know. A power him did one grab. And then grab power, him say, him alone can make your sleep with window and door open. And then I be from the same opposition now. And I tell them shit. You can't jump upon people right through them. Can't be a shit on the top.
The government. There are those who will be making comments which I pay attention to. I read them all the time. It's government's responsibility. Obviously, it's a government's responsibility. But remember the nature of our democracy. We keep saying we have this strong and robust democracy, but not understanding what it means.
Yeah.
That yes, even the opposition has a role, and our constitution gives them power. No one is holding them to account as to how they use the power that they have in the constitution.
Yeah. Them not tell us politics in my play. So when him play, you when they say them play back again for. Hey, that guy like him sticking out be a foolishness. One person get murdered.
Opposition leader used his tour to launch an assault on the government's fight against crime. Mr. Holness and
launch an assault at the time. Yes, sir.
opposition MP Desmond McKenzie were in the community today. Onje Jebinson reports.
The man in charge of the security portfolio, Peter Bunting, had a tour on Sunday, and Mr. Bunting, who receives the crime figures daily, insists there is no increase in major crimes. But opposition leader Andrew Holness has his own view on Friday night's shooting in Seaview Gardens.
It is an example of the growing level of criminal activity within Jamaica. Crime is once again rearing its ugly head, and it is really a cause for great concern.
Mr. Holness said the mothers feel let down by the government.
The government has a role to play in this. The government has a duty to secure and provide security for the people of this country. And I think in talking to that mother, it was clear to me that she felt that the government had abdicated its role in providing security.
Mr. Holness said the opposition will be holding the government accountable for...
Opposition will be holding the government accountable. One person died at the time. I hear him said to the whole of Jamaica.
its role in controlling crime.
We had managed to bring down the murder rate 3 or 4 years ago. Now,
that was a lie.
It is climbing. We are concerned. We are very worried. And our visit here today is to give the people of Seaview Gardens, but Jamaica in general, the assurance that the opposition is speaking out firmly against crime.
Not only that, Mr. Holness wants the entire country to send a message.
All well-thinking Jamaicans should raise their voice in concert against the high levels of crime and against the government in not doing enough in controlling crime.
So one person died. One person died, and in the day, I tell you, all well-thinking Jamaican and launch against the government. Remember, I'm saying him alone can deal with crime now, you know. Now I tell you, you put all the opposition to the crime. To crime. You for all the opposition. But yeah, all him and you know all the opposition accountable. Yeah? Him have the purse. Yeah? You hear what him do? Him launch an attack on the opposition. Now go here, so. Remember, just hear about baby I cry. Hear this. Honest. Remind me.
Does not hear about your heaven. I hear the spirit of a little baby crying, saying, why did the people keep the Labour Party government in? If the Labour Party government was in, I would still be alive. I hear the spirit of the 18 babies that have died because of the incompetent of this government.
So when you never have no SOE, the money in the spend or nothing. But look at tear down the government to have the best track record since Bruce Colin. I'm a matter of fact, Bruce Colin have the verse. But at the end of it's on the statistic, it is there. See? And he never said nothing with this. He did all right. See? But now, them come up with a bag of foolishness. Look here. That's a one. You heard the little baby. The soul of a little baby are telling so why you never keep them in, because if you keep them in still not be alive. Hear this. Hear this now. Listen again.
And them do have no plan to fix it. No plan. I hear them attack. Them do have no plan to fix it.
Whenever the PNP is in power, murder rises. Whenever the PNP is in power, crime rises. And I keep telling people that you have a greater chance of being murdered in Jamaica than by being hit by a car. We can't live like that in our own country. So the Labour Party makes another commitment to you. Unlike the PNP, who say nothing can be done about crime, the Labour Party don't share that. We believe that there is a lot that we can do to solve crime in this country. There is a lot that we can do to bring down murders in this country. There is a lot that we can do to make you safer in your house and in public spaces.
Andrew, this thing under my word, yeah? But just a prayer, but just give one more yourself. And you listen yourself, and yeah. This is how you do. Look here.
Whenever the PNP is in power, crime gets worse. That we don't have to ask no question about. Whenever the PNP is in power, crime gets worse.
I'm not going to say to people statistic that they can look on it. Not going to say. But the perception when somebody come talk and you never look at the statistic or nothing, you believe in a way I say. And that thing use all the while PR. We are about that. No more of this. No more PR. Because we are match it up with the real statistic. We are hold him accountable. You hear him as the opposition, you hear him? Him blame the PFP and say crime get worse. Look on him watch. Eh? Yeah.
And we are why is that? Why is that? Why is that? Why is it that whenever the PNP is in power, the crime don't get higher? But the nature of the crime becomes more gruesome. Cutting off people's head, shooting pregnant women, invading houses and killing entire families. And then the last and latest thing now, kill a baby, and then the girl decide to retaliate or kill another baby.
All right, so Andrew, I don't do this. I know you blame the opposition to the people them for all the opposition. Him just say, we for all the government accountable the other day before him come in. I know him tell you say, who know run the opposition. In just want you SOE and the thing. See that the SOE him draft. You can't do normal policing, police and soldier. It don't make no sense. PR, all them accountable. Intel for do this. Yeah? Yeah, man. Continue play this.
That is the nature of our democracy and our government. You know, I don't think there is any one who is stronger on supporting our democracy than I am and ensuring that this is a free country and everyone can have their freedom of expression and freedom of assembly and freedom of movement. But increasingly, I'm seeing people who are the strongest advocates for this liberal democracy telling me that I need to do what President Bukele did in El Salvador.
I don't know which advocate tell you that. You hear us talk about the government, and yesterday I talk about advocate tell you that. You know, sometimes I never listen to him with him foolishness. Yes.
Without fully understanding then that Jamaica's constitution and Jamaica's democracy is quite different from El Salvador. But there are measures between what we have now and what El Salvador has put in that if we could come to genuine agreement on, it would give us more tools in our toolbox. So we have been talking about the ESMA, the Enhanced Security Measures Act. And it has gone through several iterations, and it is...
I'm going to stop him there.
Speech on this one.
Yes. Yes.
Andrew is not going to play the game, all right? Andrew is not going to throw opposition leader Mark Golding with his bullshit, because I'm walking up to him, but I have to chime in. Because here is the thing where opposition leader Mark Golding respects the Constitution and the constitutional rights of Jamaica. All right?
Yes.
Andrew Holness has been the one who has been violating it. And if Mark Golding has not been standing up to him and the violation of the rights of Jamaicans, worse would have been happening. He has no respect. Andrew Holness has no respect for the Jamaican Constitution, none whatsoever. SOEs are not a crime-fighting tool, never have been and never will be.
True.
There are 4 reasons in the Constitution that you can use a state of emergency for. Fighting crime is not one of them. So the opposition has the right to go to court on behalf of the Jamaican people and say to them, the government is in violation of these people's rights. And the courts agreed.
True.
The courts agreed. When Portia Simpson and Peter Bunting were managing the crime, Prime Minister, Minister of National Security, they brought the numbers down. They put in place some policies. And once she did use Zozos, and she did not use SOEs. Who stopped those programs? The Andrew Holness-led administration. Hold on a second, hold on.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Yeah, man. Sister Maria that attack, you know. Yeah, man. David McTee. Yeah, man. Yes, man. Only one have it film kind of way and it now work around here. Because in 10 weeks, one person died in a sea view. And he said for all well Jamaican for well thinking Jamaican for race and bias.
Yes, sorry about that.
Yes, yes, Maria.
Yes, sorry about that. And good afternoon to everybody in the chat. And good afternoon. Yes. So when Portia had it, they worked together on programs and policies and legislation to help curtail the crime. Many of those policies worked, and Andrew Holness-led administration discontinued those programs. And here, what you have. Our Augustine is a prime example. Ask Andre Hilton, who was the MP at the time. They put a program in place to deal with the crime situation up there and murders. And for an entire year, there was not one murder in Augusttown. What did the Andrew Holness administration do?
Ban.
They got rid of it.
Yeah, ban.
They got rid of it. So when Andrew Holness is talking, he's not talking about Mark Golden. Andrew Holness is talking to the both sides of his mouth and people forget. But people cannot forget. And the opposition leader must not condone Andrew Holness in the use of SOEs as a crime fighting tool. It is not for that purpose. Because when they do, they violate the rights of the Jamaican people. And it cannot be condoned. And when he's talking, he's behaving like he has no respect for the opposition.
None.
So he can't talk about the opposition has a role to play. Yes, the opposition has a role to play. When he was in opposition, he was treated with more respect by the government than he is given to Mark Golding. What is he talking about? So what he's running is what he's just running his mouth and hoping that people gloss over things. No. Don't throw Mark Golding under the bus because Mark Golding did not do anything wrong. And yes, the opposition wants to see crime managed in a way that reflects what the Constitution says. And he wants the criminal, and the opposition wants the criminals to be put behind bars. But you cannot talk about crime without addressing poverty and education.
That's it.
The children are uneducated, them can't read, which makes them magnets for gangs. Okay?
True.
So how then can he be blaming, talking about Mark Golden like the opposition want crime to be? No, it's Andrew Holness who said he can do it. So let him go and do it. Let him go and do it. It's Andrew Holness who politicized crime. He did. And then he's now talking about don't politicize crime. Andrew Holness should be ashamed of himself.
True.
Should be ashamed of himself. Because he is the one who has disregarded the rights of the Jamaican people.
Yes.
And if there wasn't an opposition way to stand up and say, no, you can't. You know, many young people become millionaires because they violate their rights.
Yes, man, that's the last thing.
Coming out of his pay.
Yes.
His taxpayers have to pay it. But they won because you who would never see $100 in their life became millionaires because of what did to them.
Yes,
we need to get real here and stop just talking for the sake of talking.
Yes.
Get real.
No, that's right. Maria, you know what we do to him? Because him I watch it back, we draw back him same words. He just talk about the prison. He just talk about the prison, but 2022 him say him give directive, him tell them to go build the prison. And the kind of prison normal say now have the money and because this and then the opposition might have go against it. Just like disingenuous, you know. And dangerous, you know. Disingenuous bad, man.
Of course.
Disingenuous bad.
What he's saying when he thinks that we have forgotten. And when it comes to Andrew Holness, nobody can forget because guess what? There's always a tape to play. Always a video, always a tweet from Andrew Holness that applies to him. What that he used against the government when he was in opposition, that applies to him now that he's government. Watch what you say. And Mark Golding must never ever, the opposition must never ever sign off on him violating the rights, the constitutional rights of Jamaicans. Never must happen. And he believes that because the opposition stood up for the rights of Jamaicans, that they are for crime. No, they're not. They're saying find other ways to deal with it, but don't violate people's rights. Why does Andrew Holness think it is okay for him to do that? And he's talking about the Constitution. Andrew does not give a flying flip about the Constitution. He does not. Who violates the Constitution more than Andrew Holness? And when the opposition disagrees with something, Andrew Holness kicks him teeth at what he wants to do. And we have seen many instances of that. Why is Paula Lewin in court right now? Because the opposition took her there. How did she get there? Because Andrew Holness and his government rammed through the parliament an extension of her tenure. That's a violation of the Constitution. So when he's talking, all those things are part of his criminal behavior.
And now I play that role about opposition and then for all opposition. When the matter, nobody never watch me now. But when nice, it tape, it recorded. It can use. So I wouldn't think one word.
You cannot be allowed to get away with these things.
No.
And he's still up there talking like, he's a major part of the problem.
Yes.
Because they only talk about these kinds of measures, crime fighting measures, when it has to do with poor people win.
Yes.
What about all those court fines from how many years ago? What about Patrick Bailey, who 2 people in the house, one dead and he was the only one alive, and he's not a suspect? What are you talking? What about SSL? So this is only their crime fighting measures only apply to poor people, not to the regular Jamaican society, not to the rich people uptown. Where is his press conference to deal with the situation in Havendale? Where is it? Where is his press conference to deal with that businessman who must be a president of the PSOJ? Where is his press conference to talk about that? So Andrew is not fooling anybody about here. He's not. And none of us are saying that they must not be found and held and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Absolutely not.
No.
But we're saying you don't come and violate people's rights.
Yes.
Because you can't violate the rights of thousands for the sake of just one person.
Don't make no sense.
And when the opposition now say, no, cannot allow you to violate the rights, they're going to say, oh, he's glad that he's coming on. Bullshit. I'm going to keep that to somebody else.
Yeah, man.
But
yeah, man.
can't have me around here.
Yeah, man. All right, sister. Up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. All right. Later, sis. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Cool.
All right. Up. Yeah, man. Sister, that she just get mad. Hey, after we chip, because when Andrew come and talk him about foolishness, we don't know. But tell them as is. Now go on. And then you hold him by word. See, when him start to a drama, cannot play politics. Him talk about the prison. Remember him just come and remember himself give the directive for build the prison. I know I'm changing mouth and going to something else. So you have to be careful of Andrew. Remember play back the prison again and make a hearing. Yeah, I know him come here to say about, the money for do the prison and then politics you have to watch it because another thing said 2022.
The Prime Minister declared several
plans.
Look when the time up, it's a 2022. It have time stamp.
Analyze the plans and the cost.
Listen.
I have given instructions that the high security facility with a communications dead spot be built. We will have a prison with a communication dead spot that we can put our high valued criminals in terms, they are not high value, they are no value. But our high risk criminals, we can put them in facilities where they cannot influence crime and murders.
Last week.
So this is the Prime Minister 2 years ago. And I must say, he might watch it through the political thing or whatever, but in the life do a prison. And then him start play the political game again. You have to hold him to his word. Himself give the directive for build it. No, it's not build himself now have no money, but in that think about it for the eye, but it's a political thing. If you can do this, your ears saying have the money to build a hospital and the road to go fix. So you come and tell the people them life for us feel good. That's why good when you have him speaking in one language, in one word. Dangerous. These guys are very dangerous guys to society. Andrew Holness. Very dangerous. And I'm a nine, like I have a 9 orange, a 9 Andrew. A 9 orange, a 9 Andrew. Yes. A 9 Andrew. And when him tell him lie and him rush as opposition, when they were in opposition, Him say for all the government accountable. So just one day for all every well-thinking Jamaican. And now him a bring it now to the opposition. And so them stay. Right now, people want to do something to the road. And let me show you something. This is the road. This is the I never want to show that video yet, but let me show you a little. Let me see if I can show you a piece of video on the road. I'm moving, because I'm not going to play no more of that with him. Because I'm moving. Look on the road now, St. Thomas. Let me see if I can see a little part of it. Look here. Look here. Look here. At the road, it's a dig up sign now. Show the glass now. See that? See dig up there? See dig up there? See that? Brand new road, you know. At the highway, they stick up sign now. So look. See that? Push it off there. See that? Two-way. This is where how much money? Over $60 billion worth of work. See that? Just fix. See my dig it off there? So this now, this are where them does trumpet. All right. All right. So this are where them does fix. Yeah? St. Thomas. All right, Peter again. Look on this. And you know, you them run gang do this. Look, just look on this. Mama just see right into you. This is a highway to people, you know, say where someone look on the line and then dig it up and look on the line of print. You know, so thing that is. Look here. And I tell you how pretty it is. Real carpet. So if you dig up even 3 miles after that, believe me, by the year done next year, you have got to dig up. The one of this are dig up, it's not good. You know, we have over $60 billion doing this garbage. And instead of the media host them run go out there. You said this are the road, this are the highway I want to tell the say to bring in, a way to bring in. Remember, I want to tell the St. Thomas in the east. Look on this. Look on my money and tell me about a shoe shine thing. I do everything. I in the send the gravity. Shoe shine now, I do me, you know. And I feel equipment them I use to that, you know. Them the local one, they get this and do this, you know. So them I reach out fight that police him going out there. Right now I talk about it. Imagine me. You know me out of Marant Bay there. So imagine me. And I him get this to do. Yeah? Him a fit them me. Him get this to do. So they say we're going out there. Yeah? And then where your money are change all over the place and them extra rich and all kind of thing. Nobody in the business. Because by the way, PSOJ, we know say, oh, Uncle Sam. Let me tell you something too. We know that some of the drugs, not for the drugs are going Europe. Remember Clarendon, Germany and France and the one of them places. No for the cocaine, them have now them reroute, no for it to Europe. I use ship and I use some other means to carry over the things them here. No for it to route to Europe. Yes. So not just US alone and Canada. But it gone over so. Yeah. Yeah, him baby are crying now, Parliament, him baby them are crying. Him not hear the baby them now. So what him do now, him just turn it back to the opposition and people for hold him accountable. Him come out and him make him big thing and me tell him, you know, me give him something and yesterday him come and talk. Listen on this stupid. Or if you come and say no, the people them in a prison, when you come and say you're a build death spot and what have you, you never lock up no prison water for carrying and sell the phone them. Not even one. You go to the prison of them, the same water them. Look at you there prison. A man come sell you phone, everything where you want, you get it for buy. And then except a man them, but one of them a friend just come in and take it and then we look it come sell back. Make any sense? You never done that. That means you should have charged them prison water. For the thing them are going, the whole of them have to do lie detector test. And any one of them found guilty 50 years. Them need to stop it. You're not supposed to pay no man and then corrupted, aiding and abetting criminality, including murders, by using these phones. That means they don't want to clean up the place. So you want to go to the prison of them and pass the same water them were apart. Remember them static. Remember them static. But you want to go to the prison of them and you give them more time, that don't make no sense. It don't. You have to mash up the lie, the warden them. You have to. In a police lockup, when you look the man, them have phone and everything same way. But you want to give them every catch them with it and you charge them. Not the police them who are money. So if you put 10 police to deal with, you have to the 10 of them have to do lie detector to say no, because the whole of them will get charged. So none of them now run the foolishness. So I say, yo, me now come here and sign to you after you make me get charged. Me I more arrest you are, me I tell upon you. So them feel limit too much police, about 4 police run the block. 1 block. 2 no 1 2 after them go run at 6. The whole of them get charged if you know I do some lie detector test. Or phone and them thing that contraband and ganja reaching them. When you get locked up at police station. When you're there at prison and them thing you run your deal with the water them. Simple. And give them hard. A matter of fact, if you write it, now them thing with them are going on. Anything on the current contraband, 50 years. 50 years, the judge are pass these things. The tour. And after them kill the man there, where them saying himself, a fixed attack, saying himself, CBS saying himself, foolishness, garbage. The man know about them. Yeah. I mean, I have enough things. I have enough things from my phone. I gotta do something about that now, one down there. Remember enough thing about some out there. See? Remember enough thing I have going in there now. With the water them are going with, who are going with which prisoner link with which water, or them work and everything. You know? Yeah, a bit. Remember, I do a couple cases already, you know. But after me, I have some fresh things that I never touch. Right now. See? So I'm going to do that case. I'm going to do that case because them start some man link up with prisoner. So if man link up with prisoner, even lock up some more youth and put them in that prison, now I change the killing we're going. No, because man I stay there and make them link same way and recruit other people recruit and more killing the ground. So if you not deal with the water, they may make them still carrying the phone, them and everything. The man them in there make a phone, them static. So man can stay in this and call a bag of murder outside. You know, so when I do something wrong, and you still use the same water, them will commit, because the water them will commit the crime. And them are the danger, because remember, you know, if your hand can't touch a phone, I can't touch something, you're being agreed. But the water, them take all them we and carry come give you because of money. You know, speak to them evil. And them are cause the murder them outside. And them are cause them here. But you have them as water and you put and you big them up. You're not easy neither. You let down the country. Them are let down the country. Now we have to get up and burn them for these things. It don't make no sense to me. None whatsoever. None. At all. And that's why I keep it real. Yeah, man, keep it real. If anything later, you know, because we have a million things to go do. So we can go do what we are doing, you know. So later, renegade, we're not afraid, you know. Also, we're not afraid. Because, you know, we don't do puppet things on and someone with them little nasty talking. We don't have the time for that, you know. Keep it real on that, so yeah? All right, we're there. Later, bless.
We in lump sum, we a beat it till they are my bane. We now make them get in and them and again. None of them boy, we none of them. We alone some rise up the bomber.
Original 40 said no, we not take rough up the cock up. From the other day, them face them a puff up. That they 3 little pig and the old fire off up. If them flip like a fool and leave them get crushed up. Meta, shut your beat, no speak, you meta hush up. Street furniture, everything's a get dust up. Limbs and shove, everything's a get brush up. When you see original Eastman, you must not fuck away. Lyrically inclined, be a metaphor, so no listen to.
I'm out later.